This latest movie that you made, Beowulf, well, to explain to her how it was done.
Well, it's called performance capture, and you know, people talk about blue screen being very boring to go to work with. It's a technical thing, and they explain this as being like working in the theatre, but I found it really more like real pure cinema, because you're there with all the other actors, and the one thing you have to get over is this nakedness, because you're kind of just in a wetsuit with like dots all over you. And they made me 7 foot tall with an 8-pack. I mean, I really had to work out on this one, you know. But you are performing, you know. It's not like going into a studio like for radio or anything like that. This is actually, to me, it made your imagination start to work again, because you're not working with castles and dragons. You've got to imagine they're there. And I just found it was a pure thing, you know.
And you even got to imagine the shape of your own body, because that's different.
Well, really, and you start walking like a guy who's 7 foot. You've got to walk like a guy who's 7 foot and who's built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know. It's so... Really, it's a real... You go back to the basics of what acting is really all about, I found, you know. And I loved it. I was working with great pros like Anthony Hopkins and all that, you know. Yeah. So it was fantastic, just watching them do it.
And tell us about the movie.
Well, it's a Viking story. It's about Beowulf. They're old English fables, I think, you know, about... the funny thing is, I never knew about Beowulf. Where I went to school, we never read it, you know. They probably read it in Oxford and Cambridge and that, you know. So when you go there, everyone expects you to know about Beowulf. Well, I didn't, you know. All I knew was Kirk Douglas and Tony Curtis was Vikings when I was a kid, you know. And so the Yanks kind of knew more about it than I did. But the story itself, for me, it reminded me of Hollywood, you know. It's about a guy who's ambitious, who wants things that are not his, and, you know, in his lust for glory and for power. And it kind of reminded me of Hollywood, in a way, you know, and that was the way I kind of pitched it when I went to see them, and they went, yeah, that's right. I don't think they had a clue. I don't think they really thought...
Well, this thing that you've played a lot of hard men, violent men in your time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're fun too. They're the best parts, aren't they?
They are, yeah.
That's without doubt. But I often wonder, I mean, do you find out much about yourself when you play these things? I mean, because there's a dark side and all.
Yeah, funny, I might have even spoke to you about this before, but it was funny, when I'd done The War Zone, which is about abuse and, you know, and about violence within a family and the sex within a family and all that kind of stuff, that kind of really hurt to do that. So it made me think about how lightly I took nil by mouth, which is wife beating and all that kind of stuff. It's almost like you kind of accept that as everyday life. Not in my family, thank God, but you do. So I had to kind of think back about how I thought about that, you know. In a way, I guess... was like that. Not that you do them for that reason. It's like, in a way, it educates you, and it's like a bit of a therapy in a way.
Yeah, you're spending a lot of time in America now. You've made a lot of movies there recently. Yeah,
I've been lucky enough to be invited. Do you know, it was always the thing was, I suppose I always said that, oh, yeah, I don't need to go there because I was never invited to go there. Yeah, I don't need that, you know. But I was lucky enough to work over there with Scorsese, who was great, and it kind of steamrollers, you know. They talk to their friends about, you know, the work you might have done with them. You're lucky in a way, you know. One thing happens and then it kind of rolls on, and you always find that the good people you work with are, you know, they're good at what they do and they're the nicest people.
It's the centre of your world if you're a film actor. I mean,
it's like playing football at Wembley, isn't it?
Sure,
you know,
absolutely.
Or being a fighter, you box at Madison Square Gardens.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. But I mean, would you see yourself spending more time there?
If that's what it is, but I wouldn't live there.
But you're not ambitious, are you? We've been talking about it.
Well, no, I never was, but, you know, I've been lucky enough to have people working around me who are kind of ambitious. You surround yourself with ambitious people who are good at what they do, you know, like Michael Wiggs and people like that, and they've kind of... They sent me back to school in a way to learn my craft, you know, so... and I've been lucky. I think when you don't want something so much, it kind of falls in your lap sometimes.
But do you ever...
It can eat you away, ambition. You know?
But do you ever go... I mean, you came into the game of acting in a sense by chance, didn't you? I mean, it wasn't your ambition at all.
Well, I went to drama college.
Oh, I know that.
And it's funny, I could never see myself... Although I liked going through the process of it, of being an actor. You know, I just didn't kind of fit into the mould, you know. And maybe that was my own snobbery in a way. You know, you get an inverted snobbery about things, and you feel like no one's accepting me in this industry because of where I come from, and you know, you can fall. And I did. I was a bit like that anyway. And really, over the years, you just meet so many good people. You get out of that, you know. But you work at the National Theatre, and you think when you go there, oh, it's the National Theatre, it'd be terribly, terribly like that, you know. And then they were fantastic people. We did have a good play, which helps. But you know, that's part of the education.
But you are who you are, aren't you? In the end, I mean, you are.
Well, that's right.
You're from your background, and you talk the way you do. I often wonder. I mean, you've got three daughters, but two grown-up daughters. Yeah. When the guys come calling for your daughter, and you open the door and they see you,
they don't come calling. Well, it's funny because they don't live at home, the two, anymore. They kind of do. We always have Sunday dinner. So, you know, they always bring... I was talking to you earlier on about it. As long as you have Sunday dinner, that will always get them home, you know. They'll always come back, and that's quite important. But, yeah, I've actually, you know, my girls, I'm pretty lucky. My two girls have got boyfriends now, or one of the last boyfriends, anyway, of my other girl. I like the boys. They're all right. They're good kids, you know.
You do get protective, don't you, as a father?
Yeah, but you know what? I always thought I was going to be an animal. You know, my daughters, and I'll bash them and I'll do this. But I was actually, I was all right. I was okay, yeah. But I couldn't get... I've got a house full of women. I can't get away with anything.
It's nice to grow up in a house full of women.
I quite like it.
I didn't. I grew up in a house full of men, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
It is, you know. And the granddaughters, I've seen the difference that there is between girls and boys.
Yeah.
I mean, I always knew that, actually. But, but then what I mean is just living with them. You know, there's just the kind of ambiance around them. It's very, very different.
Well, I've got my sister, and I've got my wife's sister, and there's my wife, obviously, and the kids, and you know, their mates, and you come home and it's just women in the house. But it's another great thing is when they start, it's always that cue of going to the pub. You know, no, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm just going down the pub, and sometimes you can cause a little argument, so you can go down the pub. That's all right. Love it.
So what about jokes? That was a joke.
Yeah, I knew you was going to spring that on me because
I didn't know.
I've got one, but I'm not really a great joke teller.
No, not
this could be the end of the career.
Nobody here is.
Nobody here is.
One has proved it already.
I thought you'd done all right.
Definitely not.
He's a geezer. He's 60 years of age, and he works in the stock exchange in London. And he's married to an 18-year-old bird he lives in Winstone flats on the top floor, 22-storey block of flats. And he works on the third floor. And he's very jealous, and he's got an heart condition. And one day he thinks, I'll pick up the phone, I'll give her a ring, see what she's up to. So he picks the phone up, and it's engaged. He puts it down. He's sitting there thinking the bastard, right? Sorry. He picks it up 10 minutes later, rings, it's engaged again. He goes, right, she's at it, I'm going home. So he tears down 3 flights of stairs, and his heart's going, giving it that. He dives in the Rover 2000 vintage, right? Drives out to Winstone flat, bum. Drives home 200 mile an hour, 1 foot down. And when he gets there, he's forgot his keys. And there's a security door in the block of flats, 22-storey block of flats. So he smashes the door down and rips it off his hinges, right? His heart's going bang, 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 bang. He gets to the lift, and the lift's broke down. So he's got to run up 22 flights of stairs. So he runs up the 22 flights of stairs, stops halfway, gets his breath, and his heart's pounding. And he gets to the door, and he ain't got his key, obviously, because he's on the other key ring, and he smashes that door down, and he runs into the bedroom, and she ain't there. And he runs into the front room, she ain't there, and he runs into the kitchen, and here's his wife doing the blouse up. He goes, right, where is he, the bastard? I know he's here, I'll get him. His heart's going like that. And as he says it, he looks out the window, and there's a bloke running down the bottom of the flats, putting his trousers on and his jacket, and he picks up a fridge. And as he throws it, his heart goes boom and stops. And he dies, has a heart attack and dies. And the fridge goes out the window and hits the bloke running along the floor, straight on the head, kills him stone dead. And they float up to heaven, and they're sitting in the waiting room. And Gabriel comes round with a bit of paper and all that, and she goes, is there a Mr. Green here? And the fella's standing there with a bandage on his head went, yeah, that's me. She went, what happened to you? He said, well, I had a bit of a late night last night. He says, I woke up this morning late for work, and he said, I had a bit of a cuddle with the old girl. He said, and as I'm running out the door, putting on my trousers, trying to get to work in time, a fridge hit me on the head, killed me straight. So Gabriel says, well, that's what you get for being late for work. He went, yeah, but it's a bit... She went, shut up, you're late for work. You're dead, you're here. So goes on, is there Mr. Brown here? And now Mr. Brown's the guy, he went, what a terrible mistake, yeah. So what happened to you? He said, well, I'm 60 years of age, got heart condition, jealous of the wife. He said, I think she's at it. I've run home. He said, I had murders with her. I picked up an heavy object, looked at the geezer, like that. He said, and I've just thrown it, and I've had an heart attack and died. And Gabriel says, well, that's what you get for being jealous. He went, what? She went, jealousy, kill you. You're dead. You're here, right? I went, God. She went, is there Mr. White here? He went, yeah, that's me. She said, what happened to you? He said, well, I was sitting in this fridge minding my own business.